There we go. So, starting today, and this is gonna be a lot of me talking, so feel free to hop in, ask questions. I am gonna have kind of a worksheet that I will send out afterwards of like you can then kind of stuff we go over. You can then take time at your own time where you can actually have a second to think about it and kind of work through some stuff. So I was really thinking about obviously we all have a goal, right? And typically that's the first thing most people do is they create this number goal of like I want to make $100,000 next year, which is fantastic. And you think about it in, your GCI or AGC, however you want to say it. I want to make 100,000. Well, that's great. But then the kicker usually comes down to how do you actually make that money, right? Like in theory, we all would love to make money, right? But how do we actually make the money? And that's, I think, a lot of times where there's that breakdown between I want to do this, but how am I going to do this? And it always thinks about, it's always great to have an emotional, reason to fuel your goals because, if you make 100,000 in real estate next year in 2026, like what does that do for you? Can you go on the trip you've always wanted to? Can you buy new furniture? Whatever it is, put money away for your children's college, whatever it is for you, it is always good to kind of have that emotional attachment to it because it kind of helps give you a little extra motivation to stay consistent when it's tough to do so. So, always kind of having that in the back of your head definitely helps. But at the end of the day, we really got to break it down into how are we going to get there and what does $100,000 mean? So the first thing and foremost, because it's like $100,000 could be a lot of, it could be anywhere from 7 transactions to 14 transactions, right? There's no, because it depends on what is your average price point. What is your average commission you're getting from your closings? If you don't know it, your BIC can easily pull a report to tell you. But, if it's 7,500 per deal, is it 10,000 per deal? Is it 15,000 per deal? Those are the things you really got to know. You got to understand your numbers a little bit so that you can really break it down to know, okay, I make the on average this much per deal. So therefore, I need this many closings. And just because it's simple, super simple math, if you wanted to make $100,000 next year and you average $10,000 a closing, you got to do 10 deals, right? So you got to know what is the actual number of closings you need to have to get to your goal. So that's the first step is because without even knowing how many closings, you can't back into anything else. Without understanding how many transactions you need to have, you can't go any, there's nowhere else to go, right? So that's step one. And it's a really thing is to remember throughout the years, you're not chasing money, you're chasing conversations. Because conversations lead to contracts, which guess what? That then leads to the money. So it's all one big circle of fun. So it's really thinking about reverse engineering, like what that means for you. Because I think about this, like success is built backwards. So at the end of the day, if you're not having the conversations, you're not going to hit the goal. So success is built backwards. Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So if you say, I want 10 closings, we'll up it to 12 just to make math fun for us today. If you want 12 closings this coming year, that means you need one per month, right? So then that breaks it down to that monthly level. I need a closing per month. Well, and everyone's a little different. Just depends on, how your conversion rates are and stuff like that. But then you guys start thinking about, okay, well, if I need a closing per month, what does it take me to get to an appointment? How many conversations does it take you to get to an appointment? How many appointments does it take you to get to getting that client? And how many clients do you need for one closing? Because we all know it's not a one-to-one ratio, right? I mean, every once in a while, we're going to have that one conversation that turns into one client that turns into one closing. That'll happen here and there. But I think we've all been in real estate long enough to know that probably you're gonna need more than one conversation to get to an appointment, and you're gonna need a few appointments to get that client to sign agency. And unfortunately, the fun truth is it takes 2 to 3 clients to really get that one closing because life happens to our clients. Circumstances change, deals fall through, just things happen. So you gotta kind of think about it that way. So, like, say that you need to have 10 conversations to get one appointment. You need to have 3 appointments to get one client. You need 2 to 3 clients to get to that one closing. So, thinking about if you need, 10 closings, that means if you're talking to 3 people, if you need 3 clients for one closing, we'll err on the side of people have life problems. That means you need 30 clients, right? Because that means only 10 of them are going to be deals. You need 30 clients throughout the year. And if it takes you 3 appointments to get to 30 clients, then that means you need 90 appointments in a 12-month period. So you need to have 90 appointments. So you got to really kind of think about then how many conversations is that? Because if you need 90 appointments, that means you need 900 conversations in a year. Sounds like a lot, but you got to think, remember, that's the annual goal. Well, if 900 is the annual, that means though you need 75 a month. Okay, that seems a little more doable. And if you then broke that into four, that's 18 conversations a week, right? And if you broke that into 7 days a week, that's 2.5 conversations a day. So then when you start breaking it down, it seems a lot less daunting. And I think sometimes we see the big number and we don't actually break it down into the daily numbers. And so we're like, well, heck, I'm never going to have 900 conversations in a year. Well, no, yes, you can. It's very simple. And if you don't want to do a 7 day week, you can do a 5 day week. However, your parameters are, and I would account for you're probably going to take a few weeks of vacation or have some time off. We all need some personal time. It is highly important to always remember personal time. But those are the kind of things, and like I said, I'll send out a worksheet that kind of breaks it down even further. But you've got to understand how many conversations you need on a daily, weekly basis to hit the goals. And maybe you have a higher conversion rate. So maybe you just need 2 clients for that one closing, or you only need 2 appointments to get that one client. That is perfectly okay. But this at least gives you a frame of reference of like where you should be and give you some kind of guideline to track yourself on. And I would say evaluate yourself quarterly. Where are you at towards your goals? How many closings have you had in this quarter? How many trades? Okay, so how do we need to adjust? Because if you only had 2 closings in the first quarter, okay, we got to make up a closing now in the next 3 quarters. How are we going to do that? So it's always evaluating and adjusting the plan according to your results that you've been getting. Um, and it's the hard truth that it's not just luck, it's not just hopes and wishes. And if we're not paying attention to these things, that's when we get to October of 2026 and we're nowhere near our goals because we haven't been consistently evaluating ourselves and holding ourselves accountable to the activity we knew we needed to do. So that's kind of it, thinking about how to break it down. And in a second, I will show you all some cool tools available to you that'll actually help you break this down for you as well. I mean, you can easily do the simple math. Like I said, I'm happy to give anyone their numbers, what your average commissions were, and all that kind of stuff. And like, how many transactions you did last year. And that way you can help set appropriate goals for this year. But the thing is, so you need to have daily activities, is what we're talking about, breaking it down to that weekly and daily level. And on a weekly basis or daily basis, however it works for you and your lifestyle and your other, maybe you have other commitments and stuff too. Thinking about you need to have time set up for lead generation. And that's not always just cold calling. Lead generation isn't just always cold calling. It could be calling past clients, texting people in your sphere. Just pick up your phone and start going through it. We all have people we haven't followed up with in who knows when. Following up with warm leads, open houses, that's lead generation, and inviting people to your open house, advertising for your open house, reaching out to expireds or FISBOs or social media, sending messages on social media if you see things like that's all lead generation. So part of your day and your week should always have some form of lead generation. Lead generation can be grabbing a cup of coffee with someone you haven't seen in a few months. Who do they know that might need to buy or sell real estate? Doesn't have to always be boring cold calling and things we hate doing, right? It could be delivering pop buys. It could be having the cup of coffee, having the lunch, open houses, the things that, bring us a little more joy, we'll say. So think about that. It doesn't have to be just sitting there on your phone. It could be sending fun text messages to people, congratulating them, saying happy birthday, whatever it is to help engage with someone that could lead to a conversation. Um, and so you have that kind of lead generating prospecting time block. And you also have like I call it like the follow-up power hour time block at some point, either in your every day or say I'm going to for 2 days a week. At this time, I'm having follow-up where you're sending listing alerts to maybe some warm to your sphere. You're checking on hot leads, following up with them, touching your warm prospects. You're sending value. So that would be like you're following up with like a market report for your client who was considering selling their home, or if you have hot buyers, like really going through and looking what's new on the market and sending them any potential, things that you think they would like, even if they're on a search. If you find one-off things that you can specifically send them in a more direct message that might catch their attention, where they might have missed the email link for their search you set them up on. So really like you have the prospecting for like new business, but then that follow-up's slightly different because these are the clients you have in your pipeline and really staying on them, like how do we get them in under contract? How do we get them to list their home? How do we get them to purchase a home? So really that follow-up is another great time block sections to make sure that you're doing as part of your daily activities and conversations. And then the third, so like I said, it's divided into thirds is how I like to do it. Is like you have lead generation, follow-up time, and then you have business development time. And that's where, you create market updates that you could share out, maybe mail out or email out to your sphere. You work on your scripting. You study contracts and forms. You work on your social content. You do additional training that you've been trying to do. It's a way you're sharpening your skills to become better, right? You're working on building your business. Remember, we are CEOs of our own business, so we have to always also be working on our business. So whether it's developing your newsletter, just different things and planning out those things, that's your business kind of development task. And so all of this comes together in a very well-rounded approach to connect with clients or potential clients to have conversations. And I mean, it really is like the 5 for 5 method is something that's definitely been proven. And like I said, if you don't feel comfortable doing 5 conversations a day, you don't have to, but like 5 conversations a day, 5 days a week, 25 conversations a week. There's 52 weeks in a year. That's 1,300 conversations, right? If you converted even 3% of those, that's 39 transactions. If you converted 1%, that's 13 transactions in 2026. So really, like, is that hard? We just have to do it. So, like I said, if you're not like 5's just not for you, that's okay. It's not, if you're like, I can commit to 2 a day, whatever it is you feel like you can commit to, stick to it. Because I'm telling you, I say the 5 for 5 because that is proven. But even at that, at a 1% conversion ratio, you're still getting 13 transactions, right? So if it's, I can only do 2 or 3 a day, that's okay. You might have to have a slightly higher conversion ratio, but you can, and you can still do deals and you can still do 15 transactions next year. It doesn't have to be these 100 conversations a day. So don't like really, it's very doable. You just have to figure out what's doable for you. And then kind of so you have those kind of buckets of what types of activities to be doing. But then I think it's really good to avoid like we get really burnt out from like the chaos of our business. When we're like, I don't really know what to do today or what I should be doing this week. There's so many what ifs a lot of times when we wake up, unless we have set appointments and we know we're showing this here, we're doing that. Other times we're just like, oh my gosh, like what I do, and then we just get burnt out because we stress ourselves out. Like, I know I need to be doing something, but what do I do, right? So I think also kind of on top of like breaking out the types of activities you're doing, like give yourself, like I said, a conversation goal for the week and an appointment goal for the week. Set it on, start Monday, and on Sunday, evaluate yourself. How did you do that week? Did you hit your appointment goal? Did you hit your conversation goal? If you did, fantastic. If not, what kept you from hitting the conversation goal and your appointment goal? What can you do better next week? It's okay if you didn't hit it, but just what can we do better next week to be sure to hit our goals, right? So it's kind of like that little self-evaluation. It could be 5 to 10 minutes of like, all right, what am I going to do differently next week to make sure I hit this goal? And those kind of things. And going back to your time blocking and kind of giving yourself these things because a lot of people say like the mornings are good for prospecting, your afternoons, you're servicing, meaning like you're doing the showings, you're going to listing appointments, walkthroughs, all those kind of things, and then the evenings for your life. Because at the end of the day, too, we can't neglect our personal life. You've got to have downtime or else you will be so burnt out in this business. And sorry, they are mowing the lawn in front of my window right now. So if it's a little loud, that's why. Um, but you got to time block in there personal time for yourself to keep yourself motivated, or else you cannot do real estate 24/7. I promise you, you will hit a wall. So don't do that. You got to give yourself some time to kind of relieve the stress that we all go through in this industry. So, schedule it on your calendar if that's what helps you. Like, I need to go to the gym, or I'm having date night, or I have my kids, time with my kids, whatever it is. You got to keep your energy, because if you don't have the energy to put forth the effort, you'll get burnt out really. Don't chase everything kind of thing. It's like you don't need to do everything. You just need to do the right things. And if you're doing the right things, you will feel less chaotic, and you'll feel like you have more of a rhythm going, and you have more of a cadence, and you kind of know what to expect from each of your weeks. So, the thing is, we always think in terms of, oh, I need more closings, I need more listings, I need this, I need X. And really, at the end of the day, we need more conversations and we need more consistencies. Consistency. If you have more conversations and you're consistent at having conversations, the rest will all come. And so it's like, we always say like we have these goals, which is great to have a goal because it helps us know what our habits should be and our activities should be. But the thing is, you have to rise to the habits, and then you will end up rising to your goals. If you just focus on just the goal at hand, you're going to miss the daily habits that need to be happening to achieve those things. So that's kind of the breakdown on like if you want to work on really kind of setting up your calendar for success is what I kind of say, of like time blocking. Like, I am big. If it is not on my calendar, it's probably not going to happen. So, putting it on your calendar, even if it is like I'm walking my dog from this time to this time or whatever, you could put it on your calendar and it'll give you, it'll protect your time too, because we are in such a people-facing business where we can let others run our schedule for us. So by having things on your calendar, you're protecting your time. Right now you're here for this training. So you had it on your calendar and you protected your time to be able to join this training. Same thing if you protect your time, I'm going to do showings from 1 to 3 on, for these 4 days a week, whatever it is. Now, yes, there's going to be outlying situations and things where, we just got to make exceptions to the rule. But if you kind of give yourself a little guideline, I promise your clients will actually stick to it more than you think they will. and you can really protect your time. And then instead of feeling like you have to just be all over the place for your clients constantly, you will then have that time for prospecting. You will have that time for your follow-up. You'll have that time to work on your business development, whether that's planning out social media, working on your newsletter, attending different trainings you've been meaning to do, or reading this book that you've been meaning to read, or working on scripts. If you schedule all that on your calendar, they'll actually get done versus just kind of running around with the good phrase of a good chicken with your head cut off, which I'm preaching to myself, I promise, when I say a lot of this. I'm just as bad about it. I some days do feel like I'm a chicken running around with my head cut off, 110%. So I am right there with you. So I have not mastered this. I say these things out loud as I'm literally in my head thinking I need to be better about all of these things myself. So I'm right there with y'all in this mess of it. And that is my goal for 2026, is to create it, make it not feel so chaotic, but have a system to the days and have, things on the calendar, meetings scheduled so that I know they're going to happen. I can be prepared for them. And I think we all show up the better version of ourselves when we're prepared for things and we know kind of how our day is going to go versus being flustered and just trying to cram it all in and feel like we got to get it all done. And no, you show up better when you can be prepared for things and have time, do things. So, one of my personal goals this year is to work on that. So, I am right there with all of y'all. Any thoughts, questions, anything before we kind of move on to some fun tools that can help you with some of this? Anyone feel like they understand better how to really work on their activities and that kind of thing and break it down? Yay.
Lauren, I liked what you said about chasing conversations.
Yes.
That's what I wrote down in my notes. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't what we do is not that simple. Yes, there's a lot to it. There's a lot, especially when we get into the transactions. There's a lot that can go crazy, and that's why we're professionals, and that's why people should use us. But at the end of the day, it also is that simple, like in terms of you don't have those transactions that are gonna go haywire unless you're having the conversation. So like it literally is a conversation game. So chase conversations, no matter how meaningful you think they might be or unmeaningful. Like you never know. Don't discount anything. It could be Susie's never gonna buy a house from me. Like there's just no chance. You never know. And that's why I always say, like, great place to start is your cell phone, Rolodex of contacts, your social media profiles. I guarantee we all have friends on there that we have not spoken to in at least a year. Follow up with them. Make sure they know you're in real estate. Ask, maybe they don't have a need. Do they know someone who does? They don't, that's okay. Because, like, we're talking about five a day would be 1,300 conversations a year. All 1,300 of those people are not going to need a real estate deal. But heck, if 2% of them did, that's 26 transactions in 2026. Think about that. It's you just, and so that's why I also say, like, don't get defeated. If someone says no, okay, great, move on to the next, because not everyone's gonna need us. It's conversations, just keep having them, and then it's a number saying the more conversations you have, the more opportunities for clients. And that is where I do know a lot of times it does get hard and it does get defeating when you feel like you're having conversations and like nothing's coming of it, but it's just gonna, it's a numbers game. It's nothing personal. It's just you got to find the right people, and you're going to have days where you might get five no's, but then you're going to have the next day you could get four yeses that make up for that day before. So you just keep having the conversations. And I am going to open real quick. We'll start here. And I know I've been talking about this tool a lot. I just really believe that it can help a lot. So let me share my screen. We got some stuff in the chat. Michael always chiming in here. Great. A forward conversation, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. So those are things that you can always discuss with people. The good news, people like to talk, right? Especially about themselves. So eventually, usually in these kind of conversations, what does it come back to? Real estate or some kind of form of mentioning of whether it's I've been thinking about, redoing this at my house, or this area is getting so congested. I kind of would like to get out of this part of town. Like you just, people mention things and just general conversation. So if we are just really got our antennas up and we're really good at listening, we can find those people who have the need and they may not even realize they have the need. So, like Mike says, you gotta give them a chance, let them talk. You do the listening, let them talk, and you might discover the need and see that opportunity in that conversation the more you actually take time to listen to people. All right, so now let me share.
And just like Lauren, the stuff that I'm putting in chat is things that I'm telling myself I need to do better, to ask more questions, to listen more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have not mastered this, like I said, and I've been doing real estate now for 14 years. So, um, don't compare yourself to everyone else. Just focus on you. Everyone's got different styles, different circumstances, everything. Focus on you, what your goal is, and you do your goal. Don't worry what anyone else's is. Don't compare yourself to other people. Like I said, I've been in the business 14 years and I still have so much I could work on um to do better at. So like you're never going to be the best at everything all at once. It's just the more mindful, the more we can hold ourselves accountable to doing the activities, the more successful we will be. And that is proven, that's fact. It just is what it is. But on to another note, the Century 21 Triangle University, our Empower AI tool that we all have access to. And now I can see who has signed up. I can see when you've logged in, all the fun things. Has some great tools to help you in this planning. So you can come down if you go to your hub, the AI hub right here, and you scroll down to AI planning and coaching tools. There's some great stuff. You can even make a wallpaper for your cell phone with your goals if you want to get reminded constantly. This action AI is good. If you wake up one day and you're like, yeah, I really don't know what to do today, which I promise it's going to happen as good as we all try to be. There'll just be those days. You can like come here and say, who do you want to talk to today? You can do divorce, probate, expired, sphere of influence, for sale by owner, real estate investors, first time home buyers. Say we did first time home buyers. I want English, and then I want to set 2 appointments this week. Generate my daily or generate your action plan. It does take a few seconds. But look, today's focus. Here's send 20 text messages. Here's the script for your text message. Make 15 phone calls. Here's a script for your phone calls. Send 10 emails. Here's a script for your emails. Bonus action. It literally gives you actionable items you can do. Now you can tweak it to make it sound more like you and all that, but it's a great starting point if you're just having one of those days where you're like, I don't even know where to begin. And we all have them, and it's completely okay. But it can give you some ideas to kind of get your brain going that day. There's even a how to use this tool. So this is a great where he teaches you exactly how to use it. You have biz plan. So this is a 90-day tool. So this is kind of a quick version of like, hey, I need to make more money now, or I'm good financially, but hungry to earn more. I'm good where I am, but I want to stay consistent where I am. But if we did like, I need to make more money ASAP, and the next 90 days, I want to make, we say 33,000 because if my goal is 100,000 this year, I want to say the next 90 days I need to make 33,000. My plan is say invest and buy furniture. And then once again, it does ask you what's your average commission per deal. The national average is 9,500. And what's your conversion rates on appointment you go on. You'll kind of know like how many appointments you've been going on, how many of them convert to clients, kind of, you can base it on the averages. And your bit can give you the average, this number right here as well. But I'll just use the national averages for now. And guess what it says? Your 90-day business plan. You need 4 deals needed to make $33,000. So that means 5 appointments are needed, 75 conversations are needed, 525 total attempts. Because as we all know, not everyone answers the phone, right? Or not everyone responds to that text message, or not everyone responds to the DM. So it literally breaks it down here for you. So that means now I need 7 attempts per day and just 1 conversation per day. So it helps you then break it down to daily. So your weekly, monthly, and daily right here. And then it gives you a daily prospecting schedule. Like, so you don't have to follow this to the T, but if you're just like, I need to start somewhere, where do I even start? This is a great tool to give you that starting point, especially to look at things on a quarterly basis. So when you do that analysis after Q1 and you now know maybe where you need to tweak it, you can come back in here and say, all right, now so I didn't quite hit my goals last month. So this coming quarter, I need to make this much money, You can come in here and it will break it down for you and really good. You can
Oh,
download
can you scroll back up just a second?
this.
Right there. Thank you. No, no, right there. So if you're looking at this saying there's no way that I can do this from 9 to 12, I don't have 3 hours. In 3 hours, you're supposed to make 5 prospecting attempts. This should not take you all day. Knock this out and get other things done.
Right. So yeah, it's just saying 9 to 12, but I would think you can make 5 phone calls in what, 20 minutes, depending on how many conversations you end up having. You can have one conversation. You can knock this out in 30 minutes and be done with it for the day. Um, so it just depends on the day. Some days it might 5 attempts to get to that first conversation. Some days you're going to make 1 phone call and get to that one conversation, right? And it's up to you whether you want to keep going a little bit more and get ahead of the game or not. But this, like I said, this is just a guideline. You make it work for you. This is not like you have to do this or anything. I'm one of those people, like a lot of time my brain will not start going until I see something, like whether it's in Canva or something like this. Like, I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. I just need to see something on the screen and then I can get my juices flowing. But I gotta always give myself like a starting point. Um, so that's why I like this. If you want to get super in depth and really kind of build out an annual true goal for yourself, as well have a little bit of a therapy session, this Real Coach AI is really good. You can do it. It's 9 steps. And it does take 20 to 30 minutes to fully complete. So give yourself some time. It's not like the other ones that were pretty automatic, but it's going to ask you like some getting clarity on your goals, build better habits, scale it. Like, what is your goal? Finding work-life balance. And it's going to ask you a lot of just like questions to go through this. And a lot of them will be some thought-provoking questions about like why you want to do certain things. What does this mean for you? What does it mean if you don't do this? So like I said, if you want a little therapy session as well, go through this, but this will give you a extremely detailed business plan for the year of like what are your top 3 prospecting things, like because it'll ask you in here like what do you enjoy doing, what do you hate doing. It literally will ask you these things, and then it will literally create a plan for you focused around the activities you like to do for prospecting, how to do it, how often to do it, and that. So like I said, if you have 20 to 30 minutes one day, I do really recommend coming in here, and it'll give you just a very in-depth analysis kind of business plan. And then you have that 90-day one to kind of give you those quick numbers, especially if you're doing it more on a reviewing quarterly and analyzing where you're at and maybe need to adjust some things. But really good tools to use to really build your business in general, just FYI. Great tools in here. I know if you were in new agent training last week, I harped on this, but there's all kind of, he has great training in here. Moxie Works training. He has getting started with Empower AI. So he will all kind of things that how to use the tools in here. But he's got like social media, negotiation, listing appointment, active versus passive. And some of these are our stuff that we've also added. So we have added a lot of just different good training that are general trainings about owning objections, expireds and FISBOs, those kind of things for you to come in and look at. You have a prospecting hub, so there's different types of, you want to target a certain type of client this year. There's great trainings on how to find them. So if you're like, I really want to work on absentee owners, you click on absentee of how to find them, scripts, what to say, marketing to go along with it. Like I said, none of this you have to use verbatim, but just really good training on how to target that type of client and some scripts that you can then tweak to make your own. So, once again, really good starting point if you're just like, I don't exactly know, or I really want to target divorce related property sales or investors, whatever it is, it gives you some really cool tips and tricks of how to find these people and how to speak to them. Um, Lastly, over here, I just wanted to make sure um, the one new thing that they do have in here, this really doesn't have to do with business planning, but I just want to highlight it while we're all here, is list this. So they really have a whole package when you're listing a home. It's got you get your description, your marketing plan, your scripts, and everything for that listing. Once again, here's a great little overview of how to use this tool. You just click right here. You just put in the information and it will start going for you. So I would highly suggest if you have another listing to kind of play around with that and see what it creates for you. Let me,
Has anyone used this yet? Like, what is kind of package does this create? Do you know?
I haven't personally had a listing to like put through it yet, but
Yeah.
if anyone does, like let us know what it does for you, your results with it.
All right, I'll be playing with that.
Yeah, just play with it. Like you could use your the condo listing coming up and maybe play around with it and see what it has. Um But yeah, so it's like I said, you don't have to use everything verbatim, but at least maybe it might give you, even if you got one thing from it that you wouldn't have thought about, right? Or it says words in a way that you're like, oh, that was a really good idea. So, like I said, these tools are meant to just enhance the business you're already doing, and help you enhance your skills. Like I said, but still you can make it your own. And Michael did put in there, speaking of scripts, tomorrow at 8:45, we have our first script mastery session. Don't be scared. Even if you just want to come and just sit, you can sit off camera, you can sit on mute and just hear other people, hear the conversations that are happening. That's totally fine. But I would say the more you do participate, it's better to participate on us than your, like to practice on us than your clients, like Michael always says. So, flub over your words with us. And also if you have a specific situation that you're running into and you want guidance, or hey, how would you handle that, this is a great time to come and ask those questions because someone might have an idea you haven't thought of or a response you haven't thought of to combat whatever it is you're up against. And if not, we'll kind of just go over some general scripting stuff. So, but highly recommend you come and start really, that's one thing we've honestly never done much of, is really focusing on really scripting practice, and I do think is a very important tool. So,
One of the
now,
things to remember about practicing scripts, it's not as much about actually memorizing the words. It's about filling your brain with ideas. So when somebody asks you something, you can recall the conversation that you've practiced. And you're not going to say the words exactly the same every time, but you're not going to have to look for the words to say because they're already in here because you've practiced. For me, that's the goal of script training. I'm not trying to memorize it exactly. I want it in here so I can find it when I need it.
and now just any kind of feedback, questions, thoughts, mention, I've tried this, has it anything that we have about 15 more minutes just to kind of open forum now.
So I got a question.
Yes.
Who has already set their goals for this year? Raise your hand or react in some way so that we know that you're set. I saw it. Tania, Thomas, Heather, the folks that aren't on screen, you're going to have to give me a thumbs up or raise your hand with the reactions, or you could come on camera and talk to us. Roxana's, yep, we got Roxana who's got goals set up. So the rest of you, are we working on goals? Jennifer's got goals.
We got Kristen and Melissa have started. Lydia's. All right, so that's good. And that's okay. If you don't have it down 100% yet, like it's okay. It's still not late. It's never too late. Anytime is better than no time to start planning your goals.
If you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time.
Good job, Spencer. Yes, and that's true. If your goal is 0, it's very easy to hit. That's the easiest one to hit. So yeah, really just I think, and I like I said, this is the thing I super, super struggle with, especially in the beginning of like just being intentional and not and like Celeste said, is I always was more focused on chasing the dollar, chasing the money, chasing the transaction, and not chasing the conversation. And I think that's a mindset shift that will help us because sometimes when we have that one client and that one transaction that we're so focused in on, it's good to be focused on your clients 100%, but we miss out on other conversations that could be happening. We
Tanya,
don't
you've unmuted. Here we go.
uh, we don't stick to our conversation goal because like, oh, we have a client or we have a really hot lead, so then we don't do prospecting. But then what happens when that hot lead fizzles out or that client changes their mind? We have nothing. And that was a huge thing that I had to took a lot of time. Yes, Heather. That took a lot of time for me to make the mindset shift, probably like probably 3 or 4 years into the business of like, I just have to have the conversations and then I don't have to worry about who actually goes through to a closing or not. Because if I'm having the right amount of conversations, I have enough in the pipeline to where the transactions will happen.
So those of you that have your goals, I would encourage you. This is not a Mission Impossible goal that needs to be in a secret folder that explodes once you open it. Share your goals, post your goals, put it up there so that you're reminding yourself of what you're trying to do. Intentionality and mentality is so much with this. This is not rocket science. This is simply being consistent, chasing the conversations, doing the work, and you will reap the results. It's really, really, really that simple.
Mm-hmm. So I highly encourage you to utilize the tools that are at your disposal, whether it's you really starting to dive into Moxie Rise for your CRM, because the more organized we are, also the better we can service potential clients and do our follow-up. If we don't have a CRM we're using, it's really hard to track your conversations and your follow-up and know who to call next. So really encourage you to get into Rise and start getting your clients in there, getting them on. They're going to be building out more and more stuff every single month. There's going to be more and more stuff that they are putting into Rise. So it will be a full-blown, I mean, you still have Engage to utilize as they build out Rise, but really work on that. Utilizing Moxie Present, they're fantastic presentations in there. They have list side, they have buy side presentations in there. They have it in Spanish too. They have all kind of resources. They have commercial presentations, find homes and estates presentations, and present, like utilizing Moxie Impress and the tools, the new Canva Enterprise, making sure you're getting into that, using all these templates the brand has built for you. Really leaning into the tools. They're all there to help enhance your business and grow your business quicker than you trying to do it alone and by yourself. So really lean into the tools at your disposal to help you.